And the last thing when it comes to the PS5 Pro, when it comes to specs that I have to mention, and if Sony, if we don't get this in here, we gonna have a problem. Yo, what up, y'all? All right, so it is about that time, man, that we start talking about this new PS5 Pro that is rumored to be dropping this year. Yeah, you heard that right. It's coming this year, man. I know it's kind of crazy because I feel like we just got the brand new PS5 Slim, but we're going to get more into that here a little later in this video. So I've kind of been really kind of waiting to kind of talk about this subject for a while now because I wanted to actually make sure that I had a pretty decent amount of information around this console before I just kind of brought some random ass information to you guys. Well, I think I have enough in this video right here, man, to start the conversation. So let's go ahead and get to it. All right, so the first thing that I actually want to talk about with you guys, man, kind of has to deal with the release date of this console, meaning that when is this console speculated to even come out to drop or for us to even be able to get it? As far as right now, it is rumored to be released in the fourth quarter of this year, and I'm actually gonna go out on a limb, man, and say November to be exact. Now, the reason why I'm saying November is because if we look at the PS5 Slim, it pretty much gives it away. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me explain. Now, if we go ahead and go off of the wave of the PS5 Slim, which I got here right here behind me, that was released last year, it was released in November, and I would expect that the PS5 Pro would most likely be released in November as well of this year, as it would just be in time for the big holiday push. And y'all already know these companies here, y'all be going for everybody's wallets around that time of the year, including mine, and they give me every single damn time. Now, to me, man, it makes the most sense, as it would just make Sony PlayStation just a crazy amount of money during that time. And I know a lot of you guys out there are gonna go for this console here because in my PS5 Slim videos, you guys would basically be telling me, hey, I'm gonna hold out on the PS5 Slim because of the PS5 Pro could be coming out this year. And honestly, man, I feel you guys on that, man. I felt like it made a whole lot of sense because why would you spend money on the PS5 Slim if you know you're gonna be going for the PS5 Pro, or you just kind of want to wait and see what the PS5 Pro is gonna offer before you guys make that decision. But just know when the PS5 Pro drops, this bad boy here is gonna be damn near impossible to get your hands on, just like the PS5 Slim was and just like the PlayStation Portal was. I'm just hoping that I can get my pre-order in when this bad boy comes out, man, so I can get it here on the channel for you guys. So there's that. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is pretty much dealing with my research on the PS5 Pro, and that has to deal with the price. And I think this is actually going to be one of the biggest things that people are going to want to know about when it comes to this console, because let's be honest, consoles are not cheap, man, by any means, any stretch of the imagination. And I feel like it is something that, as all of us, we're going to need to save up for. So from my calculation, I'm speculating that the price point is going to be somewhere around a $600 price point. And I know what y'all saying. See, kid, wait a minute, bro. This is expensive. You really think that they're going to increase it to that price point? To be honest, yes, I do, man. And for good reasons. And let me explain. Now, I know you guys are probably like, well, CK, where did you actually get this number from? Or is it just something you just kind of pulled out of thin air? No, I didn't. Hear me out. So as you guys know, the OG PS5 was originally $499, right? And just last year, Sony released the PS5 Slim that they kept the same price point at $499, and they didn't increase that price. Now, obviously, this is going to vary based on if you guys got the digital version versus the physical disc version, and just throwing that out there for the people that already know y'all was going to be in the comments saying something, so I got that covered. Now, I mean, essentially, if you think about it, the PS5 Slim is the same as the OG PS5 with just a smaller footprint, and they added another USB-C port. So nothing really warranted for most people to go out there and get the PS5 Slim, or even for Sony to increase the price on that, in my opinion. But when it comes to the PS5 Pro, as a person who likes to stay involved in the stock market and just kind of read up on all the news and everything that's kind of happening, Sony recently had their earnings investor call where they mentioned on that call that they would not be able to get their manufacturing costs down due to pretty much everything in this country or in the world price-wise being elevated in these times. And y'all already know we talked about the whole grocery bills being crazy out here right now. Like, can we get that down? Like, I know y'all feel me on that. Anyway, my thought is, since Sony is not able to cut costs on those manufacturing prices for the PS5 Slim, which would allow Sony to actually make the price of the PS5 Slim cheaper, when the PS5 Pro comes out, this is going to force PlayStation to increase that price of the console. And I don't see them only increasing this to $50 or anything like that. I'm pretty much gonna stick around, them increasing the price of $100 so Sony can actually make this console be displayed within their lineup of consoles as a premium console. This is actually gonna cause people to see it differently in the eyes of the OG PS5 to the PS5 Slim and now to that PS5 Pro, because again, it's all about levels and tiers to making this console seem premium, and I think $100 is the perfect sweet spot for this. Now, I hope that makes sense. If you guys don't agree, or if you do agree, let me know down in the comment section below. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, man, and that has to deal with the specs that I'm expecting this console to bring. Now, as you guys know, right now we can get 4K 120 frames per second out of the OG PS5 and the PS5 Slim, which, don't get me wrong, it's solid. It's them solid numbers. But I'm actually going to tell you why it needs to be 4K with higher frame rates, but why I don't personally think we actually going to get higher frame rates than 120 frames per second for this PS5 Pro. Let me go ahead and break it down to y'all. So, according to this article, man, that I read, and I'll have that article linked down below for you guys, there's only about 30 to 40 games that actually support. And when I say games, I mean like total series, because some of these series are like 3-part series of games. So, I'm just breaking it down into one single game. So you're really only getting 30 to 40 games that actually support 4K 120 frames per second, leaving most games at just 4K 60 frames per second. And if you guys want to play a AAA title game at 4K with ray tracing, you're pretty much stuck at 30 frames per second on a console that's capable of 4K 120 frames per second. And that's the disappointing part of all of this, man. So for me, I'm actually hoping that somehow we can get the PS5 Pro to at least allow for us to get 4K 60 frames per second with ray tracing that gives us more games at 4K 120 frames per second. Look, don't get me wrong. Like, I still think the titles that we do have that are giving us that 120 frames per second is cool, but I do feel like we're still kind of stuck in that era of consoles where we're still in that 4K 30 to 60 frames per second. And look, don't get me wrong. I think the 4K 60 frames per second is still an enjoyable experience. It still looks good. But when I purchased the OG PS5, when it first came out, I was expecting, honestly, most games going forward would be given to us at that 4K 120 frames per second range versus what most games are currently giving us. So with all of that being said, man, I still think there's a whole lot of work to do before we can actually see higher frame rates on the PS5 Pro. However, it would be nice to see PlayStation future-proof this console to allow for the higher frame rates like the 144 or even 200-ish, you know, hopefully we can get around in that area. And those higher frame rates that we see on PC that they give us is something that we could possibly see that's going to be saved on the PS6 level of next-gen gaming. But only time is going to tell with that, so we're just going to have to kind of wait and see. Now, when it comes to the power as well as performance of this console, this is where I feel like we're actually going to see the power of this console shine. Now, it is rumored that it will offer over 23 teraflops of computing power, which is insane, y'all. Now, you're probably sitting over there, you're like, see, kid, that's cool, but what the hell is 23 teraflops mean? So in short, without getting like too complicated and too nerdy and too techie with it, 1 teraflop on a processor can calculate over 1 trillion operations and tasks per second. So if the PS5 Pro is going to have 23 teraflops, then that means what? It can handle 23 trillion operating calculations per second on average, which is just, I mean, that's just insane, y'all. And basically, it's going to allow for us faster as well as smoother gaming experiences, faster load times with getting into games, hot swapping into new games a whole lot faster, and just making the whole experience faster and smoother. Because when you guys compare that to the current PS5, which is a little over 10 teraflops or 10 trillion tasks, which you guys are smart now, you guys know that, we are seeing double the amount of computing power on this new PS5 Pro, which is impressive over the older model. Also, we can see a boost in GPU as well as CPU performance with speeds at 3.6 gigahertz and 2.7 gigahertz, whereas the current PS5 speeds for the CPU and GPU are 3.5 gigahertz and 2.23 gigahertz. So with this, I'm expecting just an overall just solid performance of a console. Now, one last thing and feature that I want to talk about that is probably like the hottest thing in tech right now, or at least what I see everybody on the internet just talking about and using, and that is AI. Now, we are living in a day and age, y'all, where AI is pretty much everywhere. It's like in our gaming headphones, like I showed you guys with the new brand, with the new Pulse Elite headsets with the microphone. We are seeing them in our smartphones. We're seeing them in social media apps. It's pretty much every damn word. Like, now I don't know exactly how they're going to be implementing AI tech into the PS5 Pro, but I'm sure it is going to be something that's going to be a huge part of the PS5 Pro and could possibly be something where it comes to something like our DualSense controller or the DualSense Edge controller, to where it's going to function with the console. So stay tuned to the channel, man, and subscribe to it so that way you guys won't miss it whenever we get that here in-house. Now, hopefully PlayStation, if you guys are watching this, Sony, if you're watching this video, you want to be cool enough and hook your boy up with one so I can get it here early on the channel for the people, then go ahead, man, and tag them over on Twitter, tag them on IG right now and let them know, hey, C-Kid needs to get an early unit. And the last thing when it comes to the PS5 Pro, when it comes to specs that I have to mention, and I feel like I'll be doing this a disservice if I don't, and that is we have to have the new PlayStation Link technology built into it. And if Sony, if we don't get this in here, we gonna have a problem. Like, we're gonna have a problem. So because we got this in the PlayStation Portal, I feel like this is something that we should have in our new console, so that way we can just get rid of dongles in 2024. Like, I'm so over having to plug in dongles into the back of the PS5 Slim, exactly where all of the heat is coming out, and it's just heating up that dongle, which is honestly where I feel like that's causing the disconnection issues that people are experiencing when it comes to the Post Elites that I've been reading you guys having down in the comments. So Sony, please give us the PlayStation Link technology built right into the PS5 Pro. Now, one last thing I want to talk to you guys about is the new controllers, as well as other peripherals and accessories that I'm assuming are going to be coming out with the PS5 Pro. So I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a whole leak out there that was posted on Best Buy's website where the brand new V2 version 2 of the DualSense Edge controller that's going to be coming out was actually leaked on their page, on one of their product page, and it was quickly taken down. Now, I was expecting this to actually come out before this console and maybe give time people to be able to play with it and kind of test it out and all of that. But since there hasn't really been too much talk around this when that actually was leaked, I'm expecting that new controller is going to come out alongside the PS5 Pro as an upgraded controller, which is rumored to just pretty much have a longer battery life, which, don't get me wrong, I'm all for having more battery life on this controller right here, but I pretty much solved this problem already, man, with this battery pack that I bought right here. And all you guys got to do is just plug it right into the top of your controller like this, and then it's going to instantly start charging your controller. Like, this little device here is goated, y'all, and it is a must-have if you guys have a PS5 or a PS5 Slim or a DualSense controller, because I'm telling you right now, this bad boy here is a cop for sure. And I'll have a link for you guys down in the description section below. It pretty much doubles the battery life of your controller. So shout out to all of y'all, man, that DM me, man, that you guys got this and you loving it. Hey, we ain't doing low batteries in 2024. We off that. Now, another thing that I can see is with the PS5 Pro, man, is that most likely they're going to be getting rid of USB-A ports that we saw on the PS5 Slim. Now, they removed the one USB-A port that was on the front of the OG PS5, and they replaced that with a USB-C port. So I imagine that this is going to be something that's going to be carried over to the PS5 Pro, and even having more USB-C ports on the back, especially since pretty much everything is pushing that way to USB-C anyway. So to me, it just makes sense to future-proof this console. But yeah, that's pretty much everything, man, when it comes to the rumors and everything that we know so far coming out on this PS5 Pro. I'm personally looking forward to everything that they have planned for the Pro model, and they better bring back homepage custom wallpapers, man, because this was everything. Like, this was life on a PS5 Pro. Comment down below if you guys had custom wallpapers on your PS4, man. I'm telling you, this was the wave, and I'm hoping Sony can bring this back on the PS5 Pro, because like, it was life. Like, it was everything. But anyway, man, I hope you guys found value in this video. If you did, go ahead and click that like button down below. As well as if you're new here and you're vibing with your boy, then go ahead and click on that subscribe button down below and join the fam, because we on our way of hitting that 200,000 subscriber mark by the end of this year. And with y'all help, man, I know we can get there. See y'all in the next one, squad. We out.